Okay, hello everyone and welcome to my talk on how to visualize computational mechanics. This is a presentation that I gave at WCCM-ECCOMAS, and I thought it would be maybe helpful to share this presentation here to people who could not attend this conference. So in this presentation I would like to show how I use software tools to make visual animations, and then how I use these animations to teach computational mechanics. So first of all, I think it's not really necessary to motivate the need for visualizations. I think this is clear to most of us. If we just have a formula and show that to students, so here you can see a finite element approximation of a function, then of course it's difficult for the students to understand this. But if we support our explanations with visual animations, then that makes this teaching such things much easier. Here's another example of a deformation mapping where if you just see the formula, it's maybe difficult to understand this, but if you see some visual animation, that makes it much easier to understand topics like this. So in this talk, I would like to first show some of the animation software that I use for making animations. These are all open source, so they are free to use. And specifically, I would like to show some examples from Matplotlib, Manim, and Blender. And then in the second part of the presentation, I would like to show how I use these tools for making animations in the field of computational mechanics. So let's start with Matplotlib. I think most of you should be familiar with Matplotlib. So this is a Python library which is used whenever you have to do scientific visualizations. So you can plot graphs or scatter plots or histograms and so on. It works in 2D and 3D, and it's very highly customizable. So this is usually the choice that you use when you do scientific visualizations. And this tool can be also used to make animations. So for this, you can import the animation tool in Matplotlib, as you see here. And then here you can see one example of such an animation. So this is a phase field simulation. In this first lines, it just generates a random field, and then we define an update function which defines how this field should change in every frame. And then with the animation functions in Matplotlib, you can set up an animation that computes the phase field for every frame and adds the corresponding image to the video, and then in the end it creates a video like the one you see here. So this is a very simple way, and I think it's the most beginner-friendly way to make animations, because I think most of us are familiar with how to plot things in Matplotlib, and then just making these animations is quite simple. As I said, this can be done in 2D and 3D, so we can also use Matplotlib for making animations in 3D. So here you can see the components of a stress tensor visualized using Matplotlib. I have to say though that in my experience, Matplotlib, the 3D animations, they sometimes they don't look as nice as you would maybe like them to be. And this directly brings me to the next software that I would like to show. That's Manim. That's also something that many people know when you are interested in visualizing things like mathematics or physics or engineering. So Manim stands for Mathematical Animation Software. It's originally developed by Grant Sanderson, which many of you may know from the 3 Blue 1 Brown channel. But now there's actually also a large community that is consistently developing this software. So there are two versions of this software. One is the community version that I'm using, and one is the version that is published by 3 Blue 1 Brown. So Manim is nice because it's also a Python extension, and it can be used to make 3D and 2D scenes. You can do a camera panning, zooming, and so on. And there's an pre-implemented object library, so certain shapes and graphs, axes, vectors are implemented in this library, and you can use this library to make your animations. There are specified functions for creating these objects, moving them and transforming them, which is very nice. And Manim is also particularly known for how it can be used for algebraic manipulations. Okay, let me show some examples. So these are some simple examples of how to use Manim. So here you can see one scene. So Manim always works in an object-oriented way, where you have to create a class for every scene that you want to implement. And here you can see one such example scene where one triangle is generated. And then here with these functions, you can create a triangle, as you see here, and then you can fade out the triangle again. One very nice functionality of Manim is how it can transform objects. So here two different objects are created, a triangle and a circle. Then first in the scene, the triangle is created and then transformed into the circle, and then again faded out. So this is a very nice functionality because you can generate objects and transform them into one another. One particular function that I find really helpful in the field of computational mechanics is a function for which you can apply a predefined deformation to an object. So here we can see a circle that is that looks like this in the undeformed configuration, and then we define a deformation mapping and a time tracker value which starts at 0, and then we can define this apply function subroutine, which applies this deformation mapping to the undeformed circle, and this is dependent on the time t. And then we can set our time tracker to a certain time value. So for example, this is for time t equals 1. And then it will play this deformation of the circle until time reaches 1. Then we can wait a bit and set it again to 0. So I find this really helpful to visualize deformation in computational mechanics. As I said, another thing that makes Manim very popular is how algebraic equations can be manipulated. So here you can see an example where you have two equations, and then one of these equations is transformed into the other. There are more things that you can do with Manim, such as putting one variable from one side of the equation to the other, and so on. That's a very nice feature of Manim. Finally, I would like to talk a bit about Blender. So Matplotlib and Manim, they are both very nice and flexible software tools, but they are not specifically designed to render objects with realistic surface textures. And this is where Blender comes into play. So Blender is also an open source software that can be used for 3D modeling, for animation, physics simulations, and what I find very interesting, photorealistic rendering. So what you can do, for example, with Blender is, in computational mechanics example, you can use FEM results that you have in ParaView. You can export them as .obj files and import them in Blender. For that you need an add-on. I used here Stop Motion OBJ add-on. And in Blender you can then render an animation which has like these more or less photorealistic effects. So this can be a nice way for to give students some motivation on why we need things like the finite element method. Here's another example, which I find very interesting. So in Blender, it's possible to also make animations using a scripting language. And this is again coupled to Python. For this, you have to import this BPY library. And here again, you can see the deformation mapping that we have seen earlier. And I apply it here to a sphere. And yeah, again, you can apply some surface texture. So here I wanted to somehow animate a drop of water that deforms under a predefined deformation mapping. And then, of course, you can combine these different tools. So here you can see the Blender animation and the Manim animation of the same deformation. And here you can see how the deformation gradient, so this is just a two-dimensional part of the deformation gradient. You can see how this changes at each point of the two-dimensional water drop. Okay, maybe a short summary. I've shown Matplotlib. I would say this has a very low entry barrier and it's highly flexible. But if you want to have more cleaner 2D and 3D visuals and object transformations and algebraic manipulations, then maybe Manim is a good choice. And finally, if you want to have surface textures and lightings and all these things, then maybe you can use Blender for your animations. I would say Blender is quite time consuming, but yeah, the results can look very nice. Okay, now one can ask the question, is it enough to just show visualizations to students? And I think many of us would disagree. So you also need, you need to show a rigorous mathematical treatment of the topic for the students to really understand what is behind the scenes of these animations. And also this should be coupled with thoughtfully structured explanations. So you have to develop a didactic concept to really make students understand what you are showing. And this is exactly what I tried to do with my YouTube channel. So I tried to combine these three things: the visualizations, the mathematical explanations, and thoughtfully structured didactics. And in the following, I would like to show a bit some examples of animations that can be used in the field of computational mechanics and that I have used for making these videos on my YouTube channel. Okay, so I want to talk about three topics: continuum mechanics, tensor calculus, and finite elements. Let's start with continuum mechanics. So this example we have already seen. If we have a deformation mapping, it's very nice for students to show them how this actually looks like in an animation. So for this example, there are different ways to make sense of this. So one could, for example, assume different values of time inserted into the deformation mapping, and then one gets the deformed shape at that time. Or one could choose one point in the spatial domain and insert it into the deformation mapping, and then one gets a curve, a parametric curve in space that shows how this point is moving over time. Another thing that is very nice to visualize is the deformation gradient. So by definition, the deformation gradient gives us the deformation of small line elements in the object, which is essentially a matrix vector multiplication. So, and matrix vector multiplications can be very nicely visualized, as you can see here. So this is the undeformed input and this is the deformed output. And we can use this to visualize the deformation gradient field over our deforming object. So here we can see the undeformed line elements, and then over time these line elements deform. And this deformation is described by the deformation gradient. We can also visualize different stress tensors, which depend on either the undeformed or the deformed reference area, and which describe forces either in the current configuration or the reference configuration. We can also use Manim to make animations for material models. So here you can see a neo-Hookean hyperelastic material model and how the stress depends on the deformation gradient. Yes, then we can also use these animations to visualize tensor calculus. So one thing that I really like to show to students here is how components of a tensor change when we change a coordinate system. So here we can see a deformation that is described by a deformation gradient f. And if we just change the coordinate system, the deformation itself should not change. But the components of the deformation gradient change in order to describe the same deformation in that coordinate system. So I think this is an animation that always helps students to understand the components of a tensor and that these components can change dependent on the basis that we consider. Okay, finally I would like to show how these animations can be used for visualizing finite elements. So this animation you have already seen. Here we can see a finite element approximation of a function, and we can see how this approximation changes when we change the nodal values, in this case ui, of the finite element approximation. So this is one example where we can use Manim to visualize finite elements. Another example that I found very useful is to use Manim to visualize the weak formulation, because that's a concept that is usually very difficult for students to understand. So here I used Manim to visualize how different test functions can be used to enforce the strong form locally. And I think this is a very nice example for a scenario where only showing the visualization is not enough for students to understand the topic. So this is also coupled to like a longer explanation, which I will not do here. But yeah, I just wanted to say this, that sometimes the visualization alone is not enough. You also have to explain this visualization carefully. Okay, that's all I wanted to show in this presentation. Maybe one last thing, if you're interested in making these videos as well, I would like to show the video editing pipeline that I use. So first, what I always do is make the animations that I want to show using the methods that I've shown, and from these I generate MP4 or MOV files, mostly with a transparent background, because then you can combine them later when you do the final video editing. And then what I do is I write a script of what I want to say, and then I record the voice in Audacity, which gives me an MP3 file, and then I combine all the animations and the audio using the video editing software DaVinci Resolve. Okay, that's all I wanted to show. If you're interested, you can check out this small article that I wrote about these animations. And of course, you can also check out the code if you are interested in starting programming this. And yeah, that's all I wanted to show. Thank you very much and see you soon. Bye.